Hello, 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 everyone. Come on in. Come on in. I hope you guys are having an amazing one this beautiful Wednesday. Today is the 10th. Man, I know because we've got the storage unit getting cleaned out as we get ready for our next big move as a family, as we get ready to move back to Texas. So, pretty excited about that. But yeah, if this is your first time clicking on a video from me, my name is Kobe Cornell Boone. I am managing director and founder of Boone Capital. We are a private equity firm, Reg D 506C. We are in all things real assets, so land, most specifically land, timber, ranches, outdoors recreation, and the wonderful things that come along with the outdoors. I do these videos to kind of preface today's video, if you will. I do these videos for a few reasons. One, selfishly speaking, I want to be able to come back after we've closed this first fund and really document the journey. Um, it's one thing for folks who are kind of in the space to, talk about their assets under management, which is a huge accomplishment, AUM, for those folks who kind of exist in this finance world or understand the world of private equity. That's one thing that some folks tote. What I personally focus on is the journey, the relationships that are built are second to none. I think in my 31 years of being here on this planet Earth, and my professional career now, being over 10 years, I can truly say in every arena of life that I've been in before, I have never had the privilege until now, I would say at this level, to forge such a diverse array of relationships with folks in such a short time, especially when you're in the capital raising arena. You you really have to learn kind of on your feet and understand what is people's gist, what is it that they're looking for, and have those conversations in such a way that you are mutually beneficial. Hey, how can I connect the dots for you? How can I bring more value to what you're working on, what you're looking at, as well as understand, hey, I have my own things that I'm working on too. And that's probably the beauty of the finance space that I've found so far as being a independent, if you will. It's my family's name, my name on the board, if you will, and having that brand and that passion and that drive towards whatever it is, whatever project you're working on, whatever you're raising for. So what I wanted to do today in this video, this is going to be really tactical. I have a write-up that I want to share and kind of walk through, and that is understanding, which is almost the title of this video, understanding investor profiles. Know who you're talking to. Investor profiles, and when I say that today, I'm not going to talk so much from an institutional standpoint. I'm not talking about your wells, if you will, in the food chain, which would be your institutions, of course, your family offices, if you will. Today, I want to kind of focus on your day to day ultra high net worth individuals, your worth individuals, the folks that you will most specifically as a new fund manager have the opportunity to have intentional conversations with earlier on in the stage of your fundraising cycle, and knowing that those are different kind of conversations you're going to have with these groups. It is the conversation that you're going to have with a ultra high net worth individual or a high net worth individual that is a W 2 is very different than the conversation you're going to have with a family office. And where you have that conversation too, as well. But what I want to do today is kind of dive in and share with you guys some helpful information that I've discovered in my numerous calls over the past year that I think will help you. So let's start with W two. So first, raising capital is about knowing who you're talking to, because a W two executive, a doctor, a lawyer, a contractor, a business owner, and an athlete are not all hearing the same opportunity the same way. You may be seeing the exact same words, guys: private equity, land, real assets, preferred returns, tax strategy, long term upside, legacy. But every investor filters that conversation through their own personal life, um, income, risk tolerance, their own tax situation, and their own identity. That is a huge one, their own personal identity, brand identity as well. That's why the biggest mistake in capital raising is talking to everybody the same way. And you will learn that very early on. This video again is not about per se family offices. I'm kind of leaving those folks out. I'm gonna do a deep dive video that's separate. I do have some stuff on family offices you can go and check out on the YouTube channel. But that's a different world. Again, those are wells. We'll talk about that part of the food chain later on. But this is about your everyday investor profiles, man. Your guys that you're going to end up meeting most likely at the golf course, at the sauna, at the cold plunge, at your IV hydration, whatever your spill is. Um, these are most specifically going to be your founders, your fund managers, real estate sponsors, private equity operators, and capital raisers who you typically will speak to a little bit earlier in that journey, if you will, especially when you've just stood up your first SPV and you're kind of going out there on your own, and now you're a wildcatter, as we like to call it down in Texas, and generating your own leads. So again, W-2 executives, doctors, lawyers, contractors, business owners, and athletes. I'm going to throw those guys in there too. Got a great few of those that I work with pretty close. So we'll talk about today how the conversation changes when the check size moves from, let's say, 25,000 minimum to $100,000 minimum to 1 million minimum investment. And that's partially because capital raising is not just pitching. It is translation. You are translating the same opportunity into the language of the person that's sitting across the table from you. So let's start with the core principle. Every investor is asking three things, even when they don't say them out loud. Can I trust you? Do I understand the risk? Do I believe you as the operator, as the fund manager, managing director, whatever your title is, as the operator, do I believe that you can actually get this done? Can you execute on this? And that's really the bedrock. That's your foundation of that relationship. Now, this is coming early, guys. Like, this might be the first 5 minutes of that call. And if you've even gotten on the call, they've probably already looked you up on Instagram, LinkedIn, whatever the case may be, to even see if you're worth their time. So before they care about your model, your return target, your deck, your logo, or anything else, they're trying to decide whether or not you're credible. I can't share enough, and this is off script. I can't share enough how important your personal brand and credibility is, especially in the world of finance. Especially in the world of finance. I have heard horror stories, absolute horror stories of folks who have been burned, bad relationships, bad partnerships. Those things exist. Not talking about them doesn't take them off of the table as far as realities of being in the space. You need to know who you're working with. So important. So be a trustworthy person. Be a good person. Be a person of character. Capital does not just follow the deal. Capital follows conviction. Capital follows clarity. Capital follows trust. And capital follows people who understand the room they are in. So let's start with W-2 executive. So this could be someone in tech. This could be a finance professional, consulting, sales, corporate leadership, a lot of those folks, or management. They may have a strong base salary, bonuses, RSUs, stock options, and overall great lifestyle. Like, in some ways, we like to call it the golden handcuffs, if you will. These folks have a pretty comfortable lifestyle that they've worked hard to achieve. But here's the reality. A lot of W-2 executives have income, but they may not feel like they have control. Their taxes come out before they touch the money. Their calendar is controlled by the company. Their career path may look strong. They've done the hard work. They've gotten their education, whatever the case may be. But if you look at now in such a changing world with layoffs, restructuring, politics, geopolitical politics, and burnout, those factors are kind of always somewhere in the background playing into your W-2 executive folks world, if you will. So what conversation are you having? You're talking about diversification away from their employer. You're talking about building assets outside of their paycheck. you're talking about long-term optionality. These guys, they usually want clarity. They want to know the structure. They want to know the timeline. They are very risk adverse, I've found. Um, the reporting, making sure things are buttoned up. They dig a lot more into compliance. I think that some of the guys, some of the larger folks do because they have attorneys and folks kind of built into their ecosystem. Um, and they want to know whether or not it's truly passive. So that is a huge one with your W-2 folks that especially the executives that I found. And most importantly, they need to be able to explain it at home, and I think that part is underrated. Um, a W-2 executive may like the opportunity, but if they cannot explain it clearly to their spouse, my gosh, if they can't explain it clearly to their spouse, that capital may not move. And I'm telling you from tech folks, which is my own personal background, but these guys who have built strong careers, decades or whatever in a particular arena, they are very risk adverse. So in some cases, you might be going on a dinner not only with that potential LP, that potential investor, you might be going on a dinner with their spouse, going on a golf outing. Like there's a lot of, I would say, maturity in that relationship, and that horizon sometimes uh might be a little bit longer and convincing. The W-2 executive is usually asking, does this help me build out assets outside of my paycheck? How passive is this really? Am I going to have to get involved with this? Is it going to take away more time away from work, my family? Can I understand the risk timeline and structure clearly enough to feel comfortable? I can't stress that enough. So with this profile, keep it clean. Do not overcomplicate the pitch. Explain the asset, what it is that you're doing. Explain the clear downsides. For us, we have multiple 5 core exit strategies on every property that we touch. So explaining the downside is super important with these folks. Explain that timeline, that horizon to exit, and the role they play as a passive investor. This is what I'm asking you for. This is the number, this is the capital, this is the amount, this is the insurances that you have as well around this capital. This is what we're doing. If you're structuring something early on for an acquisition, property acquisition, whatever the case may be, this is what where we intend to get your money back. This is the interest you paid on that money. However you decide, however you're structuring that, that is a very early on conversation with this particular group. So for the W-2 executive, the conversation is oftentimes about moving from earned income to asset ownership. Um, this is golden stuff, guys. Whoever watches this video, this will save you so much time. Section 3. So this one is the doctor. Doctors are super cool. All right. So let's talk about those guys. Doctors have high income, but they are extremely time constrained. They may have student loans, practice obligations. I mean, getting calls, especially I got a surgeon buddy I'm in a golf group with. Those guys are working, insurance costs, tax complexity, family responsibilities, and very little bandwidth. When you're working with doctors, those guys, man, they're burning the midnight oil, if you will. And they are also pitched constantly too, right? Like folks know doctors do really well. So typically, so real estate deals, syndications, insurance products, private placements, practice opportunities, franchise concepts coming into play, everything. Like doctors might be, arguably so, doctors might be pitched the most. They've seen it all from the conversations I've had. So when you talk to a doctor, again, credibility matters fast. What differentiates you? Doctors respect expertise because they've spent years themselves in the books, if you will, becoming experts. So they really respect that. That means you can't sound sloppy. You need to be dialed in. You cannot be vague. They are very detail oriented folks, and you cannot treat their capital casually. These folks, again, they work hard for their money, and relatively so, you can say that for everyone who I'll speak about today, but it's a very different profile again with doctors. And their credibility is on the line. They are very adamant about that too. Their name is on the wall. So it's a different conversation. With a doctor, the conversation needs to be simple, professional, and very direct. Here's your thesis. Here's the operator. Here's the risk. Again, going back to that timeline. And here is what this is a new one. Here's what your CPA and attorney should review. And especially when you're doing like your PPM, your LPA agreement, um, your subscription docs, whatever, you'll always send this over. But I found that doctors like they typically have had a accounting partner and an attorney that they've been with for quite some time in a while. So that's going to be a huge one that's definitely going to come up. And if you can convince the CPA or their attorney on your opportunity and get those guys dialed into what it is that you're doing, I found typically that the capital will follow with the decision that the doctor makes, and you'll see that in some of your bigger folks too. So I'll share that later. Doctors often like passive investments. Again, they are very time constrained because um, they don't have the time to become operators in every asset class, but they need confidence that the person that's operating the deal knows what they are doing. And even if you're an early stage founder, having contractors or people that you're working with, or maybe even a co-GP scenario where you have those years of experience in your council and your board behind you as well, they respect that a lot too. So what is the doctor asking? Is this credible? Is this passive enough for my schedule? Is this worth reviewing with my CPA, attorney, or advisor? And oh, by the way, some of those folks are charging by the hour. So keep that in mind too, is that somebody who's bringing your opportunity before their trusted partners or their trusted advisors is most typically paying something for that time, for that review. So that's the lane with those guys. Do not oversell. Do not promise tax benefits. Do not pretend to be their advisor. Say it professionally. This may have tax considerations worth reviewing with your CPA, and that alone will build trust because they now have something to go and present to their CPA and say, "Hey, talk to this guy. Seems great. Told me I could save some money on my taxes. Review this and let me know," and then allow that credibility to grow from there. Lastly, I'll say on that one is the doctor conversation is about credibility, time leverage, and professional process. Man, listen, if you can present an opportunity that allows that doctor to have more time, have passive income, bring back his capital with a win and net proceeds on it too, where he can use that to for whatever he would like to do. If it's his hobbies, he or she hobbies, more time with their family, whatever the case may be. I have had several conversations with ultra high net worth individuals who, again, will attest to the fact that more time with their kids. That I want to pursue the opportunities that we can do well, we can do good, and provides me more time with my family. That goes for everyone that's on this list, honestly. Everyone that's on this list. Number four. So the lawyer. These are fun folks. Attorneys are fun folks. Um, Lawyers are different, man. Lawyers, they let me say, let me go off the record. Lawyers are interesting people, man. Lawyers, attorneys, those folks are interesting. They're different beasts. A lawyer is trained. A lawyer is trained to find the issue. If there is a problem that can be argued about, or let me not say argued, if there is a problem that a lawyer can debate, you just get ready. That's what they do. That's literally their job. So if a lawyer asks about documents, just go ahead and send them. Just send them. Risk factors, control rights, operating agreements, conflicts, fees, distributions, downside scenarios. Don't get defensive. They're actually helping if you have a growth mindset, your lawyer is actually helping you to get your PPM, your deal more buttoned up. They can become one of your um, best advocates, if you will, in as an early stage founder in growth. Because of the questions that they ask, they are going to test the structure of what it is that you're doing. That's actually really great. It's actually great. That feedback is amazing. but it's how they think. And honestly, like I said, that can be a good sign. It means that they are engaged, they are dialed in. I've found lawyers and attorneys, those folks to be straight shooters. And you need to make sure with them that you respect the details. If you don't know something, say it. If you're gonna go and find the answer, go find it, come back to them. They really respect the research and the sources. They're big on that. They may not need you to explain again every legal term, but they need to see that you have kind of gone that route of preparing for it. You know, have the proper counsel, have proper documents, process, and proper discipline as well. This is not the audience where you freestyle. If there's anyone where you can kind of be flowy, be the founder, be charismatic in any case, but this is a different room. When you're with the lawyer, you got to be on your P's and Q's. This is where you stay precise. Hey, this is what we're doing. The offering documents govern, review everything with your counsel. This is a target, not a guarantee. And I'm sharing with you statements that I personally have used in these conversations with those folks. That is an assumption, not a promise. Lawyers appreciate intellectual honesty. If something is unknown, as I said earlier, say that you don't know. If something is an estimate, we're projecting, we estimate 25% IRR, whatever. That is how you approach it with a lawyer. They're usually asking, is the structure sound? Are the documents and process professional? Is the sponsor being precise or promotional? They can read that and smell it a mile away, mile away. And that last one is probably the biggest one to think about. So with them, be clear, grounded, disciplined. The lawyer conversation is about structure, process, and just really discipline, precision. That the lawyer is going to help you be buttoned up. So moseying on down here, I want to go to the contract. I hope you guys are enjoying this. I'll take a pause here and say, if you do, like, share, subscribe, leave a comment in the comment section if you find these valuable. These are literally taken from numerous conversations that I have had, and I'm going to continue to have and refine this too. But the contractor. So this profile is underrated, and I've found, man, these are some of your best guys, man. I mean, these are the guys who made it, slinging hammers, tightening wrenches, working with a core team. These guys have seen it all, brick by brick, man. I have a lot of respect for those guys, and that's how I grew up. First job I ever had was working on the farm, so I have a ton of respect for these guys. Got a good buddy actually out of Winston Salem. We met through a golf mastermind. He's a big time golfer. He's in the steel industry. Solid to earth kind of guys, man. So love the contractors, straight shooters. And before I go into this, that's the whole thing. With contractors, they are straight shooters. Contractors, builders, developers, tradesmen, construction business owners often understand real assets better than a lot of finance people. They know dirt, they know roads, they know labor costs, they know budgets, they know materials. They know everything takes longer and costs more than fancy spreadsheets and Excel will say. That's what they know. So when you talk to a contractor, do not just give them the fancy private equity language. They want to know if the plan works in the real world. If you're talking about improving land, they are thinking about access, drainage, clearing, weather. Can they get in there with those that heavy equipment, those trucks, fencing, road work, gates, utilities, equipment, labor, and contingencies? Having those in there, my gosh. Insurance, big deal. They may understand the opportunity faster than everyone else because it is tangible. And this is probably golden. They may understand the opportunity faster than everyone else. I've found it to be that the contractors can tell you when something's a real opportunity at a layer of depth beyond, like I said, spreadsheets, but beyond just macro tailwinds, if you will, or micro tailwinds, if you will. They're able to tell you on the ground what it actually looks like. Um, Oftentimes before sometimes your traditional behind the desk operators will. That's been my experience. The contractor is usually asking one of these three questions. Does the improvement plan actually make sense? Are the budget and timeline realistic for that expected exit? And does this create real world value outside of the spreadsheets that's gonna end in a profit to make money? That is the total conversation with these guys. So talk about what actually changes the property materially. As I mentioned, roads, water access, all the things, fencing, depending on what your asset class is. Ours is in the land space. And contractors expect execution, man. These are straightforward. Hey, blue collar guys. They respect people. They respect teams. They want to know who, what, when, where it takes to get something done. And the contractor conversation is really about practical value add, value creation. So again, a lot of respect for those guys, and I found them to be super valuable in helping you to identify again what you actually have from an asset standpoint. Now the business owner investor, this one's unique. This one's unique. So let's talk about these guys. This is one of your most important, I would say, most important investor profiles for a few reasons. You've started a business, you've started a fund, and you're raising other folks' money and capital to do it. These folks understand payroll. They understand customers. They understand cash flow. They understand taxes. They understand operations, if you will. They understand that things don't always go according to plan. But they also understand opportunity too. They understand opportunity and seizing a moment. So a business owner here is an investment opportunity different than the W-2 executive, whereas the executive may first ask, is this safe? The business owner may ask, is this worth the opportunity cost? Very different questions because every dollar they invest with you is a dollar they could be putting back into their own company, back into their own business. They could hire, buy equipment, acquire a competitor, pay down debt, or just have cash on hand. So with business owners, you have to respect that you're not just competing with the stock market, if you will, with the W-2 executive with the S&P 500 or the Nasdaq. That's not financial advice whatsoever, but I'm using that for an example because I understand that profile. That's what you're competing with oftentimes. Like, hey, how does this compare with my allocations that I already have in the stock market? When you're talking to a business owner, you may be competing with their own business. Like, how is putting this 100K or six figures or whatever the case may be into your idea worth more than putting it into what I'm already doing? The business owner is usually asking one of three questions. Again, why should I allocate capital here instead of back into my own company? Do I trust this operator enough to be passive? And is the risk worth the opportunity cost? And that is key, man. That is key. Like business owners are not afraid of risk. They've done it. They take risk every day, but they want intelligent risk, calculated risk. They want alignment. They want to know that the operator has skin in the game. GP commitment is huge with business owners. I found it to be so. It's like, hey, you're putting in 1 to 10% GP commitment of whatever you raise yourself. That means you're not looking to do this whole thing just with my money, but you actually are putting in your capital. And I've also found too, man, with business owners, they like for you to be all in. They respect folks who are all in. So um, burn the boats, um, get rid of the parachute. If you're being funded by business owners, know that they expect for you to work. That just flat out, they expect for you to work. They expect for you to grind. So that's important to know. Um, Business owner conversation is about opportunity cost, trust, and alignment. And I think this is the last one I'll do here. I don't want the video to get too long, but I do want you guys to know the landscape. This will be just so impactful and so helpful. And again, if this video is adding value for you, please like, share, subscribe, leave a comment in the comment section. I'm literally giving you almost a year. It'll be a year in July of starting this fund, my experiences, man. And this I didn't find anything like this online when I first got started. I had an amazing group that I joined called Fun Launch. That was absolutely a blessing, and still is an absolute blessing to network for me. But I actually just told a young guy, and I'll take a pause here, yesterday, you got to pick up the phone and start dialing. The more conversations you have, the more relationships you have, what's generated by getting your reps in is invaluable to, expediting your process, if you will. But last one, this is a fun one that I have run into more recently from one of my golf groups that I'm a part of, and that is the athlete. I have a very close friend now. I can call him a friend. We have a great relationship out of California. Who was on the PGA tour? He was a pro golfer. Still a great golfer. Obviously, I need to help me in my game. And I have a good buddy who recently retired from the NBA. Huge outdoorsman, amazing man of faith. We're in Bible study together. He's venture capital, getting into private equity, doing some amazing things, man. So this is a profile I'm seeing more and more, especially in the land space. Especially in the land space. So let's talk about it. The athlete, man. So athletes, this is going to be specifically I'm talking about your NBA, MLB, NFL, soccer players, my gosh, golf, combat sports, even your boxers. I practice Muay Thai, martial artists, mixed martial art. Those guys are doing some great stuff. Entertainers, high net worth, high earning talent. This conversation is different. It's cool though. It's unique. Not because athletes are not sophisticated. These guys are driven. These guys are driven. They accept feedback very well. They're super coachable oftentimes. And their ability to learn unconventionally is off the charts. So please do not think that athletes are not sophisticated. I found them to be quite the opposite. A lot of these guys are sharp, man. And the difference is the career window. Athletes can make significant income in a compressed period of time, which we all kind of know. You see the guys signing $100 million contracts and stuff like that, right? So, and now with the NIL, which I don't know the ins and outs of, I'm not super dialed in with sports like I used to be when I was playing and when I was younger. But I know there's a lot that's happening with a younger demographic too now in college, right? These guys are printing. So again, athletes are making a significant amount of income in a compressed period of time, but that income may not last forever, right? There may be agents, managers, CPAs, attorneys, family members. I say that again, financial advisors and business managers involved. There's a lot of hands in the pot when it comes to athletes, typically a lot earlier. And that can shift depending on what particular sport they play, as well as how long they're playing. So trust is everything, man. Athletes, trust is everything. And it is across the board, but I think we've seen enough of the stories, the unfortunate stories for athletes to know this is, a very sensitive area for those guys. In many cases, you are not just talking to the athlete, man, you're talking to their ecosystem. That means your materials that you're sharing need to be clean. Your message needs to be simple. Your reputation it matters to those guys. Your opportunity needs to make sense beyond hype, man, beyond just a new, fun, cool looking thing. Um, Athletes are pitched constantly, and I think something that's important to share there too. When I say athletes are pitched constantly, how should I put this respectfully? Only way I know how to do it. So athletes are oftentimes used for their name, likeness, and their image. They are oftentimes pitched or brought opportunities for based on their performance, how they look, like what they present as far as following, if you will, for their athletic performance. What I found and from listening to personal relationships I have with folks who are crushing it now in business, they've made a hard transition, and it would be it's tough to say it's tough to say um, this is an interesting thing. You know how whenever somebody leaves the military or they retire from the military, I come from a military family outside of Fort Bragg, and this professional is trying to make the transition from being active duty to a civilian. And if you've ever had family in the military, this is a huge conversation. It's something I'm passionate about as well as folks who are making that transition to come back home and contribute to society in a different space. Becoming a civilian can be challenging. For athletes, they're oftentimes in parallel treated as such as one arena they were applauded for their merit, for their work, for their physical attributes and accolades, and then transition into the business space. It's almost like them going from active duty and trying to become a civilian and take that same drive, but now put it into a different facet where they're appreciated for their intellectual activities, their intellectual thought pattern, and ability to produce um, great deals and take opportunities or whatever the case may be. Because on this side, they're oftentimes pitched for clubs, restaurants, startups, real estate, brand deals, lifestyle investments, like the look, right? But coming to those folks from a very sophisticated standpoint and helping them to see an equity position as an opportunity, I found to be specifically very strategically well placed and well received with athletes, as opposed to, hey, you were popular, you have a million followers, or social media, whatever the case may be. Help us push this out to the masses, and here's a quick check, as opposed to equity. That is not the way to approach these folks. And again, I found them to be some of the most amazing, dare I say, I won't say sweet, but dare I say, um, just humble folks that you will ever meet. Absolutely, and some of the athletes I've had a convers now have relationships and conversations with. So, without getting too far into the weeds on that one, you do not want to sound like another person that's just chasing proximity. They have that all day long. You want to sound like an operator with a real thesis, and that athlete is usually asking, "Can I trust this person and process? Does this protect and extend my wealth beyond my playing career? Will my advisory team respect this opportunity as well?" That is the standard with these folks. For athletes, and what we do, land can be a powerful tool, man, because it is tangible. It is something that they can see, touch, feel, enjoy. It can connect with legacy and privacy that a lot of times these guys are seeking recreation and being able to enjoy something with their family in the outdoors, whether it be hunting, fishing, ranch life. I posted something recently about a lot of athletes in Texas and Southwest Texas with ranches and stuff now. This is a retreats, founder events. This is a real thing that is growing increasingly popular. Um, and it's not as a flex, it's as identity, the opportunity to be able to craft how their life and whatnot is viewed beyond the shining lights, if you will. So the athlete conversation is about trust, protection, legacy, and advisor alignment. So without going too long on this video, what I want to say is that check sizes change based on the conversation. And I'll probably do like a separate video on this, but just a real quick overview. I'll say at 25,000, the conversation is about access and education. How do I get in? Can I participate? Do I understand this? And is this appropriate for my liquidity? At 100K, the questions being asked are why this deal as opposed to something else? Why this operator as opposed to someone else? And why now? At a $1 million check size, the conversation changes again. It then becomes more institutional. Are you institutional enough? Are you buttoned up enough to manage this capital that's about to be deployed? If it is deployed, is the structure built to protect the investor, Key person policy, big, 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 big. Insurance. Can this relationship grow beyond one deal? How do you feel fit into my tax mitigation or my investment allocation strategy, if you will, going forward? More relationship driven there. So the biggest takeaway today, as I said, was if you're having the same conversation with everybody over and over again, stop. Stop pitching everyone the same way. The W 2 executive may need clarity, diversification, doctor may need credibility and time leverage. Business owner needs their thing, athlete needs something totally different. And understanding how to navigate that room, depending on who's sitting across from you, that is literally the game. The game is understanding exactly who you're speaking to and being able to appeal to them and understand, hey, I know exactly what your needs are. I know exactly what your pain points are. And hey, oh, by the way, first of all, I hear you. I hear you. This is what I present, and this is why it means something to you. This is how it's valuable to you, or maybe not a best fit for you right now, but could be in the future. That will take you so much further because you're really translating. You're translating what you provide and your value to this individual that's on the other side of the table. So in so many words, that was the video for today. Again, educational only, not financial, legal, tax, or investment advice. But if you are interested in this type of content, if you find this valuable, I just ask that you like, share, subscribe, leave a comment in the comment section below. I typically keep these videos kind of short. We went over today. I just clicked back. We're at 41 minutes. But I will tell you that over the last almost a year now, this is my learnings. This is my learnings. These are the relationships that I'm now building that are able to translate from more than just a first flagship deal or an opportunity, but now are really becoming relationships where if you put good out there, which I believe I'm a believer in Christ, that is my structure, that is my core principles. I believe it comes back to you tenfold when you put good out there. And I think approaching that in business, especially today, especially in private equity, especially in the high finance space, is something that is second to none, that folks are looking forward to. And you can have relationships that really transcend decades and in many cases generations as well. So if you enjoyed this again, I appreciate your time. My name is Kobe Cornell Boone. Visit us at www.boonecapital.co. That is boonecapital.co. Co. Would love to have a conversation with you. We are currently underwriting and awaiting acceptance of terms on a 356-acre assemblage in Dallas County, Texas. So we're excited about this one while also getting ramped up with 1,000-acre assemblage as well that we are evaluating. So some amazing things happening that we're doing in this confluence between conservation and development, sustainability, and legacy, real assets to create impact as well. So many words. Thank you for your time. God bless you all. Take care. Bye-bye.